Is the Warriors
Two teams.
Warriors dynasty over? If we're talking percentages here, what's the percentage chance you give Chris Paul to helping Golden State back to the finals?
I give them a 1% chance. 1% chance.
They've just sort of hit the dynastic wall.
They're too old, they're too small, they're too slow, they're too weak. The NBA is caught up. For some odd reason, the NBA media is still discounting the Warriors left, right, and center, and I just don't get it. Sure, they were bounced out of the playoffs by a couple of unstoppable people, and sure, even had they advanced, Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets were still firmly standing in their way. Those are both true and true, I can't deny that, but people seem to be forgetting something important. Ladies and gentlemen, with the season just hanging around the corner, something tells me that the narrative surrounding the group of players from the Bay Area is about to change quickly. Something tells me that, well, they won't be able to ignore the Warriors anymore. So, I was a bit disappointed that the Warriors front office decided against signing Dwight Howard. I mean, despite him being 37 years old, he's still 6'10", 250 pounds, and has a boatload of experience. And he's Dwight freaking Howard, for Pete's sake. Superman. How do you not sign Superman? So, I didn't get it. I was downright flabbergasted. At a veteran's minimum, it seemed like a no-brainer decision to make, especially since Steph Curry and the rest of the vets have already signed off on him. Well, it turns out a huge reason why they decided against signing Dwight was mainly because of this rookie here. Did the Warriors front office make a huge mistake? I mean, given that Steph, Klay, and Draymond all signed off on an NBA legend in Howard, did the Warriors front office blow it? Well, not exactly. I mean, if y'all remember, at one point in time, the Warriors vets also wanted Avery Bradley over Gary Payton II. Now that would have been a mistake. Anyway, back to TJD. I could go on and on about why they chose him to be the Warriors' next big man, but Jay Bilas of ESPN summed it up perfectly when he said,
I think he's going to be an outstanding NBA player. We get caught up in where you get drafted. It's like where you get recruited in college. It really doesn't matter once the ball gets tipped. He's super explosive, another lefty. He's good on the block. You're not going to park him down there, but he can go in there. He's a big-time rebounder. He can protect the rim. But his athleticism, his strength, he's going to be a great asset, I think, for Golden State. And to be able to steal him at 57, that's pretty impressive.
You know, another huge perk of getting TJD is the fact that he's going to be 24 years old in 2024. While that may be on the younger side of NBA players, that's actually about the athletic peak of centers in the league. I mean, look, Dwight Howard was almost 24 when he carried the Orlando Magic to the NBA Finals back in 2009. Anthony Davis was 24 when he averaged a career high in points per game. Giannis was 24 when he won his first MVP award. The point I'm trying to make here is, when it comes to centers who do damage in the paint, age 24 is about as good as it gets. So, when it comes to Trace Jackson Davis of the Warriors, although he's a rookie coming into the NBA, standing at 6'11" and weighing 250 pounds, he's going to be a physically imposing beast. You know, this other acquisition here flew under the radar a bit, but Golden State recently bolstered their front court even more by signing Usman Garuba, who's the third cousin of former pound-for-pound #1 welterweight champion Kamaru Usman. Okay, not really. But at 6'8" and 230 pounds, he's still absolutely lethal. Now, I know he's a bit undersized at the center position, but the thing is, he's a stretch 5. 41% is what Kamaru shot from three-point range last season on 59 attempts. So if he could come in and rebound the heck out of the ball and knock down some threes in limited minutes each game, Steve Kerr will fall in love. There's no question about it. The Warriors' front court has drastically improved, but now let's get to some of the good stuff. You know, something that isn't talked about enough is the fact that 2024 is going to be Klay Thompson's contract year. I know he's not hurting for money or anything, but it's a fact that in over 90% of the cases, players play even better in their contract year. I mean, just look at Draymond Green as a prime example. Last season, he was playing for a contract extension, and at age 32, the man literally just had the most efficient shooting year of his career with an effective field goal percentage of 57. When the season begins, I'm going to bet that we're going to see a much different Klay. He's likely going to be a lot more calculated with what he does this year. I mean, in the past few years, he's had a bad habit of sometimes forcing shots, but given the fact that it's his contract year and perhaps one of the Warriors' last chances of winning a chip, I see him being much more meticulous with his actions on the court, especially given this next point. Steve Kerr is a future Hall of Famer when it comes to NBA coaches, but he should be absolutely embarrassed at this point in time. I mean, in the recent FIBA games, although he didn't have America's top talents on the roster, there's no excuse for losing 3 of their last 4 matches. Then on top of that, just like Klay, he's in a contract year as well. If I were a betting man, considering the situation he's in, I'd say he's extra zoned in this season. Actually, there's no need to bet. In his recent press conference interview, it's pretty much exactly what he said.
And so when you lose in the second round and you feel like you've had a disappointing year, it's a lot easier to come in and be focused. It's a lot easier for me to come in as a coach and be more demanding. And I think the players will expect that too.
Well, at this point, he doesn't have to demand it because, well... The Warriors at this point are hungrier than they've ever been. You know, bringing in Chris Paul might have been one of the best decisions they've made in a while. Not because he's a mid-range maestro, not because his basketball IQ is off the chart, not because he'll elevate the games of young players like Kuminga, but because of his hunger to win his first championship. Then, when it comes to the Warriors' core trio, they're pretty much just as hungry to get back to the mountaintop. I mean, Klay already stated on Paul George's podcast his desire.
So last year, I definitely have a bad taste in my mouth still, but that's not the worst thing because now I'm hungrier than ever and I still want to, I want to get back to that mountaintop.
Then when it comes to Draymond, here's his desire.
And I'll be straight up about it. Like, my goal this year is to help Chris Paul get his first championship.
Then when it comes to Steph, well, he doesn't voice his desires as much, but a couple of years ago, here's what Steve Kerr had to say about him. Steph's most underrated quality is just how competitive he is. You don't really see the fire that's in him, but you feel it. And when you coach him or play with him, you understand how desperately he wants to win. You can see it in his work ethic every day. You can see it in his eyes. At this point, guys, look at what the Warriors have done. They've patched up their weakness in bigs. They've taken out the locker room issue and have replaced that with a hunger to win it all. Then when it comes to their leaders, all of them are hungrier than ever at this point in time. Ladies and gentlemen, they can't ignore the Warriors anymore.